Well, Steve, thanks very much for joining us today and agreeing to do the interview. It's very much appreciated. Let's start off by looking at your early days in football. How did you get involved in the game?
Well, basically, as everybody else does, you go to your school and they obviously start having a kick around with your friends and what forth, and then there's a school team. So as a kid, I was always an outfield player. I was a midfielder in my early days, and basically there wasn't many good players in our year at the time, so I basically took goal kicks, free kicks, corners. I was the captain, so we didn't win nothing, but we did come runners up one year, which was great for our school. But in training, I always wanted to go in goal. I always throw myself about in the mud and stuff like that. So when it comes to moving on to your senior school, where lots of other schools merged, obviously they want to get a football team together, so they say, right, put your hands up, who's a goalkeeper? And I put my hand up because I really love throwing myself about. So it basically started from there, and like within a year I was playing for the Liverpool City team in goal. Right. I think I had so much practice in football training.
Yeah.
Although I did play out.
So obviously you enjoy being a goalkeeper more. In terms of like what you were told at a young age, did you always see your future as a goalkeeper, primarily because you enjoyed it more?
Well, yeah. I was always, if I was going to be a footballer, which I never really dreamt about being a footballer. I just took things each day as it came, really. I know a lot of kids dream about being a footballer. I never dreamt it. I've never sort of been a dreamer. I've always sort of looked at the day and thought, right, let's do what I want to do. So basically, as soon as I was in goal, I knew I loved it. And I'm a type person who just wants to be the best. Well, I did at that age. I just wanted to be the best at everything I did. So, I just continued with my goalkeeping and tried to get better each day and see what happened. But, I looked at footballers and loved football, but I never actually thought, I know some people say, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
I never actually thought I'd be a goalkeeper. I just strived to do my best and see what happened.
Well, Steve, you signed for Macclesfield Town in the early part of 1991. Can you remember how the move came about and what was it that really attracted you to Mac at that time?
Peter Ragg had been in touch with, who was it? I've got a terrible memory now these days. But going right back, good job you didn't ask me what happened yesterday. That's even worse. I think I was playing for Southport, and Mac had been in touch.
Yeah.
And Mac were a big side then, and Mac had done really well in the conference. And as I say, my philosophy and thoughts are just to improve and get better and play at the highest you can do.
Yeah.
So when Mac had come in and I'd seen what they had done and what they are. And Raggy's such a brilliant person. You couldn't help but like him when you met him. So, it was a no-brainer for me. It was a no-brainer for me. What I was working at the time, and basically we could travel from Liverpool to Macclesfield. Yeah. Anyway, so that wasn't a major problem. And it was just for me. Raggy was the main man for me, and he always will be, to be honest, because he started my career, Peter Ragg, and so encouraged me during it. It was phenomenal the way he was. So that's how it started for me, really.
The Mactown supporters have always had a very good relationship with goalkeepers. The one before yourself, Alan Zellum, he was a fan's favourite at the time. Is that something which you experienced as well when joining Mac?
Definitely. Wherever I've been, wherever I've played, the fans are always the most important to me. They're the guys who pay the wages, and you see players and you think, oh, he doesn't fancy it today. Well, he's going onto a pitch to get paid to play football.
Yeah.
And he doesn't fancy it. You've got supporters who are actually paying, and they turn up week in, week out through all types of weathers. The fans have always been the most important to me, and especially at Mac, because it's such a close-knit family. You're speaking on the ground, and the fans are right there. I love it when the fans are right next to you on the pitch, and I'm probably closer to the fans most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, the back of my head shows that with the lumps and bumps through pies and pasties and things. But I love to have a chat with the fans, and they say they were absolutely phenomenal when we were there. That was the special thing about the club.
You kind of developed your own style as well in between the posts. And one thing I remember going back in the day was that when you first came in, you had one hell of a kick on you, didn't you? Is that something? Is that something which you always had? Because I mean, I'm sure some of them balls are still going.
I mean, as I say, I played as an outfield player in the school team, and I took goal kicks, free kicks, and everything. So it probably stems from that, actually.
Yeah.
And as a youngster, especially with the schools I went to weren't brilliant football teams. So the aim was just to kick it as far as possible away from the goal, to be honest.
Yeah.
And even from then, I did play for Sunday League teams as an outfield player. So I must have been pretty decent, because I played for some of the representative sides as well.
Yeah.
So that wasn't bad. But a long kick was good sometimes, but then bad sometimes, because obviously you're tempted to give it a long kick.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when you think, we should really, although I've got a long kick, well, you judge it. If we're getting something from it, then you'll do it. But if not, playing football is the way to go, really. So, but definitely, I mean, obviously, I scored a couple of goals in my
well, I was just about to come on to that. Tell us about Merthyr Tydfil away in 1993, I think it was.
Yeah, with my old friend Gary Wager in goal at the other end.
That's right.
So well, basically, when there's a bit of a breeze going, then it's always good. Especially, I think when your back's against the wall a little bit and you're under pressure.
Yeah.
It's good if you can launch one and get your forwards on the front foot, get their defenders on the back foot, and sort of put pressure on them to ease us a bit. So I'd always try and sort of launch one and see if someone could sort of upset the defence or upset their goalkeeper stuff. But on that day, obviously the wind caught that one. Gary's misjudged it, because I think it was a bit wet as well that day.
Yeah.
And it's bounced over. And part of me is obviously happy because I've scored, but the other part always is with the other goalkeeper, who's obviously made that mistake. Because it is a mistake if you can see the goal from the other goalkeeper, it is a mistake.
Yeah.
So part of me was feeling for Gary, but I suppose if you would have had the video cameras on me after the game.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But in fact, no, half time, I think. No, not half. I spoke to Gary after I'd scored it on the way off the pitch, and I said, come on, because they always showed, because it's in Wales, they always showed a bit of the game afterwards on the TV. He said, come on, Gary, come and have a look at my goal on the TV.
Sure, that went down well.
Yeah, but I did also console him.
Steve, I want to move on to talk about two things in relation to the 92-93 season. It was characterised by two things, really. Our FA Cup run of that season, and also the relegation battle towards the end. So let's start with the FA Cup. Chesterfield away. What a great night. What do you remember about it?
Oh, it was a fantastic night. Just the journey over there, to be honest, because it wasn't the best night, was it?
No, it wasn't.
The weather and stuff
No.
like that. So the journey over there, where you sort of, I'm always a little bit nervous and stuff like that. Once you get on the pitch and the whistle blows, you're generally fine. But the nerves are going and stuff like that. And but we are sort of the non-league side, so there's not as much pressure on us as on them. So there is that. But we were a good side, so we knew that we could get a result. We knew we could get a result, and yeah, the lads played brilliantly. Obviously, it was a great game. It must have been a great game to watch because obviously the score line's to and fro and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to penalties, you sort of you're like, it's easy to win, but it's easy to lose here.
Yeah.
We've worked so well. I don't want to see us lose from this point. Plus, you want to get fair, isn't it, in the FA Cup? So for me, again, it's easier for me because I can't lose.
Yeah.
You're not really expected to say, but the players who are taking the penalties, they're the guys who are I don't even know what the pressure's like for that because I haven't done it. I've never took a penalty in a situation like that. But they're the guys who won that penalty shootout. Really, not me. Although it is obviously joint. I've done my job a bit, but to score a penalty. You say it should be easier, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'd much rather be in the goal. They're the guys who score their penalties. They're heroes for me. And I just got lucky that night. And if you got lucky, you sort of use a bit of experience and stuff to try and work out which way you think they're going to hit the ball, and then you just give it your all. And if they hit it down the middle, that's the worst thing in the world because you give it your all.
I seem to remember. I mean, I could be wrong on this. I think it was it Lee Turnbull who took the first penalty for Chesterfield?
Oh, yeah.
And do you remember that one? He just rolled it in, didn't it?
I do, exactly. And when that happened, I thought, it's going to be one of these nights, isn't it? Where I go the wrong way. Because I say, you're committed, so it doesn't matter. If he could just roll it in so slow. I'm committed to the way totally.
Yeah.
And that's the way that looks as it's gone in. I'm just thinking to myself, please, not one of these nights where I'm going the wrong way all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
In the past, I'm pretty successful in penalty. I was always confident in penalties.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you have your off days, but no, it didn't turn out like that, did it?
With that in mind, Steve, and what a great performance it was at Chesterfield, was it a surprise in terms of us struggling a little bit in the league?
No, not for me, no. As I say, I knew we were a good side. I knew we were a good side. And obviously the cup is a totally different ball game. And it's a one-off. So with us being such a good side, and I knew we could match Chesterfield. So for me, it wasn't a surprise at all. Even considering our league form, I know the team. I know what we can do, and that's the difference. Real good sides can turn it on when are consistent. A really good side, because like when we won the leagues, we were consistent. We were just inconsistent, but I knew that on our day we could be a side like that. That's what I'm trying to say. In
terms of our league campaign, what a great day it turned out to be. Last game of the season, away at Wycombe Wanderers. Tell us what you remember about that.
Oh, well, it's still to this day, that is the most important game I've ever played in. The most nerve-wracking game. And the game that will give me most pleasure. Because, again, winning a league, winning a trophy, and playing in a final is one thing. Your nerves are going, but you're just striving to win. And if you win, you get the cup. If you lose, you're like, runners up. It's gutting, but you get on with it. But actually, to be relegated and for the whole club to go down is a total different thing. So that game, I remember in the dressing room, Raggy again was absolutely amazing the way he calmed us down he calmed us down, but we could see his passion, and you wanted to do it for him, for the fans. Everybody was the same. They were all good lads in that dressing room, and you just wanted it to do it. It wasn't about doing it for us, although obviously you want to stay there. It's about doing it for the whole club, and Raggy put us into that frame of mind. I say he's the guy who said, let's stand either side of the dugout and give them a clap as they come out for being winners.
That's right, yeah.
And we were I was sort of thinking myself, I don't really want to do that. I just want to get down to business, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a masterstroke, really, because it might put them off the guard a bit. You never know, but the game is it's nerve-wracking throughout the whole game. I say once the whistle goes, normally settle down, but that game it's nerve-wracking through the whole game, and at the end of it, that's the most elation I've ever felt in any game. And
then, of course, just shortly after that, the arrival of Sammy McIlroy. Obviously, it's well documented the success he brought to Macclesfield Town, but as a player's perspective, how did he almost revolutionise the club in order to bring us that success in what ultimately was a short space of time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So he's been there and done it. He knew how to talk to the players. He obviously knew how to get the best from them, and he knew obviously how to play. So I can only say from my point of view, apart from that, is that basically what he did, and Raggy as well, with me, is he basically let me, because I've always had bad knees. I've had bad knees since I started playing seriously. So the more training I do, the more chance I've got of getting injured. It's just the way my frame is built, my knees will, the cartilages go and stuff like that. So basically, he let me manage myself. What do you want to do tonight, Stephen? Training, what's best for you? And when the guys, especially pre-season training, when the guys are going on runs, he'd say to me, "You just do what you need to do." And other managers after this have made that mistake with me. They've told me, "You're doing this, you're doing that, and you're doing that." Well, if I could, I would. But yeah, he basically, it was just the atmosphere again. He brought an atmosphere. I say he'd been there, he'd done it. He was always smiling. Obviously, if you hadn't done well, you could see it on his face, and he'd tell you. But he just brought such an atmosphere. Him and Mark Lillis was a great person in the dressing room as well. So those guys would, just get you right up on top, so you feel as if you're on top, and we've got to keep this going. We used to sing songs in the showers, keep the train on the tracks, rolling, let's keep it going. The atmosphere was brilliant. But I say, Sammy knew his stuff. He knew how to play, and he knew how to get the best out of players.
After a season, a solid season, I think we finished 7th, didn't we, in Sammy's first season, as well as lifting the Conference League Cup. Who would have thought it? Macclesfield Town went on to win the Vauxhall Conference for the first time. What are your standout memories from that brilliant season?
Wow, so many. I mean, for me, every game is the same. Every game is the same, whether you're winning or losing. I just used to go onto the pitch with, as I've gone through all my life, take each moment as it comes. I'm going to play the best I can for myself first, so I can come off the pitch saying I've done a great job, and then for everyone associated with the club. So even though we were obviously the best team in that league and had the best bunch of players, every game was the same for me. And when I played in that team, I knew we could go one down it's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you've got good forwards and you've got players who can play, you go 1 down is not a problem because you know that you're still in with a shout. It's only when you haven't, like my first season at Mac, we didn't really score many goals.
Yeah.
So you went 1 down, you think stuff, we're happy with the draw. You know, this team was different. We could score goals. So, any sticking out memories? Not really. I've got videos. As I said, my memory is totally gone now. But you know, each game was special for me. Every time we win is special. I've got some of the videos because we were that cable channel, so I watch them now and again to remind myself. And you know, the one game does stick out. As I said, I'm proud of my performances, and when I played bad, I look at it. One game does stick out. The last game when we got beat 3-0 by.
That's Stevenage, yeah.
So I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that because you know you want to go out on a high, and that game sticks out for me because I conceded 3 goals. See, you're asking the wrong person. You should ask a forward. He'll go, "Oh, when we won this, when we won that."
Yeah, exactly.
I always look at my performance, and I'm the worst critic for my performance. But I mean, I watched those videos of some of the games that we played, and I think, wow, what a great atmosphere in that team.
Yeah.
What team performances we played, and everybody played for each other. And then obviously, we got beat 3-0, but seeing all the fans in front of us when we're lifting the cup, that's amazing. It's just amazing.
You then, in that following summer, had a great move to Rotherham United, but for you, was it kind of, you know, a bit of a double-edged sword in terms of having to leave the Moss Roads when Mac were unquestionably on the up at that time, despite the fact it was a great personal move for yourself?
So, obviously, because you're top of that league, you've got your league clubs looking at you and stuff and want to take you. And as I said, for me, I've always want to get to the top, the very top. So it's like I've got players I've got mates who've played in the Football League, you know, played hundreds and hundreds of games Football League, and all they talk about is your appearance at Wembley in the FA Trophy. But for me, they've been Football League for many, many years, and that's okay. It's a great memory being at Wembley, but as a player, they've achieved more by staying in the Football League for long. So for me, it's always been about achieving. Mac is such a brilliant club, and if ever I was going to be, if Mac was in the league then, if we could have gotten the league, that would be just being perfect.
Yeah.
But for me, to strive to be better myself, then that opportunity came along, and I took it. But it wasn't the right move, because obviously I didn't realise then that by training full time with managers who obviously want to get the best out of you, but only know one way to get the best out. It's like Archie Gemmell and John McGovern were managers at Rotherham, and they basically just had me running with all the other guys and stuff. So straight away I was injured because the more pressure put on my knees. So and that's on that score, it was no good for me. But I did want to strive to be the best at the best level. But I think I quickly realised it wasn't going to happen, because to be the best, you've got to train hard and be, as fit as you can be. Whereas I realised there that if I trained full time, all I was doing was going to get injured all the time. So,
obviously, your Football League career was sadly short-lived for them reasons you've outlined. But having said that, you did experience quite a lot of success and medals and trophies in the latter stages of your career. I know you had spells at Barrow, Kingstonian, Woking, Farnborough. A few FA trophies in there, wasn't there? And did you enjoy your football more at that level because you were finding that you were winning things?
I wouldn't say I was enjoying it more. I've always just enjoyed it. Full stop, you know.
Yeah.
It's like an obsession. It's like an obsession to stop the ball going in my net. That has always been my aim. So whoever I played for, no matter where they were, they could be in the very bottom league, or it could be the top of the Premier League. I treat every game the same and would enjoy it the same. So it's not very good to do this because that's the way it is for me. It doesn't matter what level I'm playing at and for who I'm playing for, I will always give my best. But, you know, all I'd say at Mac is we had such a brilliant... You know, you get some dressing rooms which are a few little clicks here and there or stuff, you know, things like that. Or especially professional level, there's... Obviously, it's your working income. So it's a bit more serious, you know?
Yeah.
And, well, I would say serious. There's a bit more riding on it for players to make sure they get an income and stuff like that. But the atmosphere may just change a little bit. And all I'd say is that there's not many teams which I've played for have had an atmosphere like Macclesfield Town, with the supporters as well.
Are you still
obviously there's great supporters everywhere. Some of the clubs have been great. For Kingstonian were great supporters as well. But that is the beauty of it.
Are you still involved in the game now in any capacity? Don't know, coaching, or was that anything which appealed to you after you finished playing?
I would love to have done coaching, but with my knees, I think I got the most out of my body that I ever could, and maybe went a little bit over.
Yeah.
And really, by the time I'd finished playing for Woking, I could hardly walk. I could hardly walk in pain, so I couldn't even think about coaching. And ideally, that's what I should have done, because I get, there's only in the past I've had a couple of guys come up and say, "Oh, can you just train them a little bit," and stuff like that. And I've loved it. I've loved to see the progress in them and to try and make them better. So really, that's what I should have. But I was in that much pain with my knees when I finished playing football. It took me out of the game, sort of thing. And And it made me think, because if I do something, I do 100%. So if I can only do 50%, I'm not happy. So I wouldn't be happy going even to coach and not being able to do all the things that I want to do. I know some people say, "Oh, yeah, you can do coach. You don't have to kick and strike a ball. You can just throw it." But I'd have to be right involved. So I've sort of stayed out away from it, and probably the worst I've done, to be honest, because it's a massive hole in my life that I miss football like I have. But there's other things that become important to you. So you've got to be able to. If I couldn't walk, if I was limping around in pain everywhere, I wouldn't be able to go and visit places and do things, and it put you off your daily things. So the important thing for me was to try and get my knees to a situation where at least I can walk a fairly distance and have some sort of enjoyable life.
Exactly.
But having football not in my life, actually being there, because to be honest, I'm not even that much of a watcher on football. It just frustrates me. I want to be on the pitch, so I don't watch football that much. It's a massive loss to me. Massive, if you don't know. Yeah.
And just finally, Steve, it's 25 years now, believe it or not, since we won the league together back in 1995. As you look back now, how do you reflect on your time at Macclesfield Town? With passion, and I just think it was one of the best times of my life. And that's made for by the fans, because the fans were so welcoming, and you
met the fans, and everyone was so great. And it was just the best time. It was just the best time of my life, to be honest. And when I look back at the videos of it, I've got some videos where we were on that cable TV.
That's right, yeah.
It just brings it all back. So if I'm ever down, put one of those videos on and think, do you know what, that actually happened.
It was a great time.
It brings back that feeling. Yeah, it was the best time, to be honest. It was just the best time, and since then, every player will probably say the same. You look for the teams you've played for, and you want them to win. You want them to do well, and every week you look out for the results. So, can you imagine what I was thinking at the end of last season when you guys were playing Cambridge?
That's right.
Those feelings that I felt, I was thinking, that's what the players are feeling.
In many ways, that game against Cambridge, there's a lot of comparisons to be made between that and what you experienced at Wycombe all them years ago, isn't there?
Of course, but you guys were at home, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
You guys were at home, so there's sort of like another little pressure on you there as well, because really you're expected to win again that game, and But again, say that's just a small. It's a massive pressure anyway. So I touch it, but just that just brought it home again. And I say the teams you played for, you do want them to win, and you look out for the results every week. So I'm so glad, and Sol Campbell done an amazing job. And for next season, you can only got to be looking up, can't you? Because
exactly.
What was it? It's only out of 27. It was 27 games. Was it 9? Only 9 defeats.
It was something like that, I think.
So that's you got to be looking forward to next season now and being right up there. So I'll be certainly looking out for the results anyway.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, thank you so much for doing this, Steve. It's been fascinating looking back at some of the games and some of the occasions of the past. Certainly, if you're ever down here and we've got a game, give us a bell. More than happy to sort you out so you can come and watch the team again. But thank you so much for doing this. It's been brilliant.
Robert, it's a pleasure, and what you just said there about visiting the club, I've often thought I'm going to get down to do it, because, as I say, the memory's going now. My memory is totally shot. But just to see and be amongst the atmosphere again would just bring it all back, and it'd be amazing. So I'm definitely gonna do that. I'll pop down. I'll give you a little buzz when I'm gonna come down. I'd just love to see everybody, and but the main thing is I'm looking out for Mac to do well next season anyway. So, but it's a pleasure to speak to you, Rob, and it's great for me because it makes me feel like I'm involved again.
Of course, we welcome you back anytime, mate.
Oh, brilliant, Rob. Thanks very much, mate, and thanks to everyone at MacTown for the memories that I've got, to be honest.